So, from your hardback book on page 304 in the mechanical drawing book, we're going to do letter B. Letter B, there at the top of the page, you see it has a large circular part that starts, that we're going to start with on the left side of this object. So to start this, we're going to start with a center line up here at the top of my title block, something about like that. Horizontal center line like so, and a vertical center line like that. Then from there, on that intersection, I'm going to start my circles. So get to that point, and I'll tell you how large to make your circles. All right. For those circles, we're going to start with the smallest of those three circles, and it's going to be a diameter of 1.25. So small circle, diameter 1.25. The next circle is going to be a diameter of, D for diameter, of 1.5. Last but not least, a diameter of 1.75. From there, we're going to put the circular end on this other side of it. So from this center line to the center of the next circle is going to be 2.5 inches. So we're going to use offset 2.5 from the center line over here on the left to the right. Then from that intersection, we're going to draw another circle. It's going to be the same size as the last circle I drew. Notice the radius of my last circle is already in here. So if I just hit enter, it puts in that exact same size circle there. I'm going to give you one more step here, so just watch for a second. I'm going to draw a line from the top quadrant to the top quadrant, bottom quadrant to bottom quadrant. And from there, all the object lines, no, it's not. The outside object lines of this top view are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go trim. I'm going to trim off those two pieces there. I'm going to select all that and just put that on the object layer. Those lines are done and are good to go. Next, what I'm going to do is, if you notice, there's a slot over here on this side of the object. I'm going to start by drawing my first two circles for my slot. So my first circle, again, is a diameter of 1. My next circle is a diameter of 0.75. So diameter 1 and diameter 0.75 circle there. Okay, next, it's a little bit easier. It doesn't make things overlap so much, quite so bad. If I trim these off now, so I'm going to trim off that half of the circle I don't need on the left. Now, from this center line, I'm going to offset over 0.75 to the left. And I'm going to draw the same two circles over here. Diameter 1 and diameter 0.75. Once again, I'm going to trim off that half, so it looks like that. All right, next on this, we're going to go ahead and just draw lines in between the end of these arcs, from there to there, there to there, there to there, and there to there. Once again, those are all object lines, so I'm going to put those on the object layer. And that's all the object lines done on the top view. We still have some center lines to do there, but we'll do our center lines at the end. All right, next. For drawing the front view of this, we're going to draw a line from this quadrant over on the left side of my object, straight down. We're going to draw a line from the quadrant on the right side of my object, straight down. We're going to draw a line that represents the base, just a random line across there, wherever, right there. Great place for that. And then my front view is 1 inch tall. I know this is a few steps, but then we're going to trim, and that's going to block in my front view. So there's my front view blocked in. 1 inch tall, lines off of each side of the object. All right, next, if we look at the book, this base portion of it here has a thickness that's a little bit thinner. The overall height is over here on this portion. This portion of this side of the base is 3/8 of an inch thick. So we're going to offset 3/8. Oops, I'm not on the right screen. Offset 3/8 of an inch. I'm struggling with my offset. Above this bottom line up to there. And then we need to know where this other portion of this, where this vertical line comes down here, that's shown there on the book. that comes from this large circle, which is that cylinder that sticks up. So we're going to draw a line from that quadrant of the circle, that largest circle, straight down to there, and then I'm going to trim up that side of the object like so. And I'll pause there for just a moment. All right, so now, this line ends right in this area somewhere. You can tell that from the book, but you just can't grab it and drag it out there to approximately where it trims off. It actually trims off where this line in my top view becomes tangent to that top circle. So it's right there on that intersection. So you're going to draw a line from that intersection straight down to right there and trim that piece off. And that's where that line stops. Now in the book, they show it as a little curved up portion on the end, and they show a little curve here. That's because they've added a couple fillets to this object. That adds the next little level of complexity to it. I'm not worried about the fillets right now, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it all squared off. So once you have that trimmed, all out like that, that again is all the object lines on that front view. And that front view is finished with object lines. Okay, so now we have hidden and center lines left on the entire drawing. Again, we're going to wait till center lines to the end, but we are going to start on some hidden lines. So as you can see from the book, this is a counterbore that's here. Most everything we've had recently has had some counterbores on it. So we're going to look at this counterbore. Counterbore on this one comes from these two smaller holes up here on my top view, the middle one and the small one. The counterbore portion is this middle hole. So I'm going to draw or middle circle, I should say. So I'm going to draw a line from that quadrant straight down. It doesn't need to go all the way through my object, so I'm going to go to about there. I'm going to draw it from the middle circle over here, down to, again, about there. The small circle is the hole that goes all the way through. So I'm going to draw a line from that small circle all the way to the base. And from there, all the way to the base. So we got those four lines drawn down. And now the only thing I have left is the thickness or the depth of my counterbore. The counterbore is 1/4 inch deep. So I'm going to offset 0.25 for my counterbore. I'll pause there. All right, so now everything needs to be trimmed up. I'm going to trim off the ones across the top. Trim off that corner and that corner. Trim off those two there. And now all of that gets turned into hidden lines. All of it looks good except for the short hidden line there, that short hidden line there. They do not have a dash in them. So I'm going to change the line type scale of those two down to 0.5. And that makes those look nice. So again, those short two, line type scale of 0.5, and they look good. So now, for our other counterbore, this is a little bit different counterbore. It's a counterbored slot, but a slot can be counterbored also. So first, I'm going to come from the large circle of the slot. This one I'm not going to take all the way through. I'm going to take it down about halfway. Take the other one down about halfway. The small slot is going to go all the way to the base. And this slot is is 1/8 inch deep. So I'm going to offset 1/8 below. And I'm going to let you guys trim this one up on your own. I think you can handle trimming this up on your own. And getting the line type set. All right, when it's all done, it should look like that. Once you have it looking like that, it's great. Okay, all that was pretty standard. The only thing I think was a little bit different that I did was these two short lines. I had to set those all the way down to a 0.25 line type scale to get that little dash in them. The dash just wouldn't show up unless I went really small with that. So there's that. All right, so next, again, I'm going to hold off on the center lines till the very end. Next, let's look at this right side view. Again, to do the right side view, we're going to do a layout line off the bottom of the top view over to the side. From the top of the front, top of the top view to the side. The bottom of the front view to the side. And the top of the front view to the side, like so. So you bring out those 4 layout lines, and then you put a random layout line vertically, like so. From there, we're going to start with our line here where the bottom of the top view and the left side of the right view intersect. That intersection right there. Come at a 45-degree angle. You have to make sure you have your polar set to 45. Come to that point and straight down. And that now has your right side view blocked in. I'm going to put and trim off those. And there's the right side view blocked in. All right. So now, to finish up this right side, or not finish up, the next step on this right side view is looking at the right of this object. You see this corner. We need to transfer that corner to the right view. So we're going to take a line from that corner straight across to there. Once it's there, we're going to trim off that extra little piece. And then all of this is object lines. And that is all the object lines for my right side view. Next, we need to get this slot and the counter bore, both of those shown over here in the right side view. To start off with, to show the large counter bore, I'm going to bring a line from the middle circle again on the top view, over and down. Not going to go all the way through with that. I'm going to take another line from the center circle, over, and not all the way through, down, about like that. The smallest hole up here is the one, remember, that goes all the way through. So we're going to go there, go all the way through my object. I'm going to go from that point over and down all the way through. For the depth of this counter bore, again, we're not going to offset. We're just going to transfer it from our front view. Transfer it over to there. And now we're going to trim up this view. Trim off those, trim off these two. And we're going to set all of that to the center layer, or sorry, the hidden line layer. And that looks really good, except for, remember, these 2 lines, that the line type scale needs to go down to 0.5. So that is that one looking good there. Now, for this slot, very similar process. From the large hole on the slot, we're going to transfer it over and down. Same on the top. Oh, I picked the wrong one. Try that again. From the large hole, over and down. From the small hole, over and down to the base. Top of the small hole, over and down to the base. From there, we're going to transfer our line from the depth of our counter bore over. And then we're going to trim everything up once again. We're going to trim up these lines on the top, trim out these lines on the side, and trim out that line there. Those are all, again, hidden lines. So we're going to select all of those as hidden lines. These small 2, if I remember from before, I'm going to set down to a 0.5 scale. And the short 2 up here, I'm going to set those down to a 0.25 scale. And that's got that looking beautiful. The only thing we have left are center lines. All right, on our top view, we have those, 5 lines, or 4 lines, I guess, are center lines. Only thing I really need to do here is adjust the length of them. Looking at the book gives you a good idea of the length of what these should be. So we're going to adjust all those down to the appropriate length. To there, and to there, to there, and to there. That looks pretty good. I am going to pause the video because there's not much time left. Do the rest of the center lines and then show you. All right. So there are the center lines I added. In the front view, added 1, 2, 3 center lines, adjusted the scale and the length of those. In the right side view, I added just 1 center line and adjusted the scale of that. Then the last thing to finish this up is to make sure it's centered up nicely. Mine's really not centered up too bad. I might move all these things up just a little bit. Something maybe about like that. I guess I could stretch this over to the side a little bit. And maybe stretch these to the side a little bit. Other than that, I really think that looks fine. The last thing is to edit the title block to the appropriate name. Fig 859B. And that looks good there. Last thing is there to zoom and tighten. Remember, go Z for zoom, pick a window around like so. Do your snip.